In the steel and glass canyons of Wall Street, success is measured in billions, and loyalty is a commodity traded at the speed of light. Jack, a titan of finance, was the king of this concrete jungle. His every word moved markets. His every decision could make or break fortunes. By his side, for years, was Marcus, his assistant. But Marcus was more than just an assistant. He was Jack's shadow, his memory, his right hand. He knew Jack's schedule better than Jack did, anticipated his needs before he voiced them, and handled the 1,000 tiny details that kept Jack's empire running smoothly. Marcus wasn't just efficient. He was indispensable. But in the world of high finance, indispensability can be a dangerous thing. The air in the office had been growing colder for weeks. The pressure was on. A multi-billion-dollar merger was on the line, and every move was scrutinized. Jack, usually cool and collected, was showing cracks in his armor. He was irritable, snapping at subordinates. His legendary patience worn thin. Marcus, as always, bore the brunt of it, absorbing the tension, trying to shield the rest of the team from the storm brewing in the corner office. He worked longer hours, double-checked every file, and made sure every single detail for the upcoming critical board meeting was perfect. He believed his loyalty and hard work would see them through this rough patch, just as it always had. It was wrong. The day of the board meeting arrived, charged with an almost electric tension. The conference room was a sea of sharp suits and serious faces. Jack stood at the head of the table, a predator surveying his domain. The presentation was flawless, the numbers were solid, but a rival firm was making a strong counteroffer, and some of the board members were wavering. Jack needed a unanimous vote, and he was losing his grip. He felt the control slipping, and in that moment of high-stakes pressure, he needed a target, a release valve for his frustration. His eyes scanned the room and landed on Marcus, who was standing quietly by the door, ready to assist. Marcus, Jack's voice cut through the murmurs like a blade. Get me the revised profit projection files, the ones for Q4. His tone was sharp, demanding. Marcus nodded, unfazed. They're right here, sir, in the blue folder on your tablet, just as you requested. He pointed to the device in front of Jack, a simple statement of fact. But for Jack, it felt like a challenge. He slammed his hand on the table, making everyone jump. Don't tell me where they are. I said get them for me. Are you incapable of following a simple instruction? The room fell silent. Every eye was on the two men. This was more than a boss being demanding. This was a public humiliation. Marcus, maintaining his composure, walked over. He calmly picked up the tablet, swiped the screen twice, and handed it to Jack. Here you are, sir. The file is open. His professionalism was a stark contrast to Jack's raw aggression. But Jack wasn't finished. He looked at the tablet, then at Marcus, a cruel smirk playing on his lips, in front of the entire board. The powerful men and women whose respect he commanded. He said the words that would echo in the silent room. You know what, Marcus? I've had enough of your incompetence. You're a liability. You're fired. Get your things and get out. Now. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. The board members stared, stunned. Firing an assistant was one thing, but to do it like this, in the middle of the most important meeting of the year, was beyond reckless. It was a power play so blatant, so needlessly cruel, that it backfired spectacularly. Marcus didn't flinch. He simply looked at Jack, his gaze steady and clear. He didn't plead, he didn't argue. He just nodded once, a gesture of quiet dignity that spoke volumes. He turned, and with his head held high, walked out of the room, the click of the door latch sounding like a gunshot in the silent abyss Jack had created. The moment Marcus left, the spell was broken, but the atmosphere in the room had changed entirely. The board members weren't looking at the presentation anymore. They were looking at Jack. And for the first time, they weren't seeing a financial genius. They were seeing a bully, a man so insecure in his power that he had to destroy a loyal employee to feel strong. Mr. Henderson, the oldest and most respected board member, slowly took off his glasses and polished them. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, everyone listened. Jack, he began, his voice calm but laced with steel. What was that? Jack, still riding the adrenaline of his power trip, scoffed. That was me, trimming the fat, getting rid of dead weight. Now, if we can get back to the merger. Henderson cut him off. No, Jack, I don't think we can. He put his glasses back on and looked around the table. I've known Marcus for 5 years. He has handled my travel, my family's accommodations. He even remembered my wife's birthday when I forgot. He has done it with grace and absolute discretion. That man is the opposite of dead weight. He's the glue that holds your chaotic life together. Another board member, Ms. Albright, chimed in. I agree. My team has worked with Marcus on several cross-departmental projects. He's one of the most competent and reliable people in this entire company. One by one, the board members began to speak, not about the merger, but about Marcus. They shared stories of his professionalism, his kindness, his incredible ability to manage the unmanageable. They spoke of how he had saved them from missed flights, found last-minute documents, and always had a solution. The room filled with praise for the man Jack had just cast aside like trash. Jack's face went from smug to confused to pale. He had intended to show them his strength, but instead, he had exposed his greatest weakness, his utter dependence on the very man he had just humiliated. He had miscalculated, catastrophically. He thought Marcus was just an assistant. The board was now reminding him that Marcus was the firm's institutional memory, its human core. The final blow came from Henderson. Jack, this merger was about trust. Trust in your leadership, trust in your judgment. But what we just witnessed, this was a spectacular failure of judgment. A man who treats loyalty like that cannot be trusted with the future of this company. He closed his portfolio with a decisive snap. I'm voting no on this merger, not because of the numbers, but because of the man presenting them. Ms. Albright nodded. As am I, one by one. Like dominoes falling, the board members withdrew their support. The multi-billion-dollar deal was dead. And it wasn't a rival firm that killed it. It was Jack himself. In the aftermath, the silence was Jack's new reality. The deal was gone. His reputation was in tatters. The story of the disastrous board meeting spread through Wall Street like wildfire. He had won the battle, but lost the war in the most public and self-destructive way possible. He sat alone in his vast, empty office, the silence pressing in on him. He had fired his shadow, and now he was lost in the dark. Meanwhile, the story had a different kind of ending for Marcus. Within a week, his phone was ringing off the hook. Board members, CEOs from rival firms, people who had witnessed his grace under pressure, they all wanted to hire him. Mr. Henderson himself made the first call, offering Marcus a senior operations role at his own private equity firm, with a salary that dwarfed what he made with Jack. The ultimate irony was this. Jack had tried to prove that Marcus was nothing without him. Instead, he proved that he was nothing without Marcus. In the ruthless world of Wall Street, Marcus had shown that the most valuable assets aren't listed on the stock exchange. They are loyalty, dignity, and integrity. And those are things that no amount of money can buy, and no amount of power can destroy. Marcus accepted Henderson's offer, and he went on to build a career even more successful than the one he'd helped manage. And Jack, he became a cautionary tale, a ghost haunting the halls of power. A reminder that how you treat the people you think are beneath you is the truest measure of your character.